Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Amy is at 14 life, and she plays Kamal's Druidic Vow to get a breeding pool and a Lakeside Shack. She wants to pay 2 life for breeding pool. Does Lakeside Shack enter the battlefield tapped or untapped? Alright, so the first thing to notice is that this question would be a lot less interesting if it was a Cultivator Colossus putting these lands into play rather than Kamal's Druidic Vow. Cultivator Colossus says to put a land card onto the battlefield, do some stuff, and then repeat this process. Because there is a definite sequence to the lands entering the battlefield, it's unambiguous what Amy's life total will be at the time Lakeside Shack is entering. Kamal's Druidic Vow is more difficult because it puts all the lands onto the battlefield at the same time as part of the same game event. In the same way, if Amy vows in a Lakeside Shack and a Thornwood falls at the appropriate life total, the answer is similarly straightforward. Although both lands are put onto the battlefield at the same time, the life change comes from a triggered ability. Triggered abilities that trigger when the lands enter do not get put onto the stack until after both lands have entered the battlefield. Again, the situation from the original problem statement is different. Both Lakeside Shack and Breeding Pool have replacement effects, and these do not use the stack. They apply as the affected lands are entering the battlefield, which, as we noted previously, happens at the same time for both lands. Now, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you might recall an important fact about replacement effects, which is that if multiple replacement effects want to apply at the same time, the affected player chooses one to apply, then the game checks to see which replacement effects now apply to the event that's going to happen in the game, and this process repeats until no replacement effects need to be applied. I talked about this in my video on Torbrand and Furnace of Wrath. If you're a really advanced viewer, you might know that this is not a free choice. There is a hierarchy of replacement effect types, and you are required to choose one in the highest applicable level of that hierarchy if multiple levels are represented. I talked about this in my video on Rest in Peace and Lapse of Certainty. Unfortunately, neither of these concepts is relevant to the situation presented in the original problem statement. That's because the rule that says this stuff only applies if 2 or more replacement effects are attempting to modify the way an event affects a single object. That isn't happening here. Breeding Pool's replacement effect wants to modify the way that this game event affects Breeding Pool. Lakeside Shack's replacement effect wants to modify the way that this game event affects Lakeside Shack. The 2 replacement effects are attempting to modify the way the same game event affects 2 different objects. Therefore, both replacement effects will apply simultaneously. Lakeside Shack's check to see how much life Amy has is therefore done before she pays any life into Breeding Pool's effect. Lakeside Shack enters tapped. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.